Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Life of the Lost. I'm Sam.
And I'm Megan.
And this week's episode is sponsored by Brown Lab Media. Brown Lab Media is a creative community helping to create and promote original content, personal brands, businesses, or anything media related by people of color. So if you have a chance, feel free to check them out. The link is www.brownlabmedia.com. Almost failed that, but it's okay. We're moving forward. On to this week's episode. So the topic of the day is
kind of taking time for yourself, but focusing on like real life events that are happening right now, if you want to go into it a bit.
Okay, so yeah, I guess bringing things into perspective. Earlier today, I was talking to you a little bit about the Brooklyn Nets and how this player called Kyrie Irving took maybe like a few days. No, I'll say a few days, maybe like a week or 2 or 3 weeks even, for personal family time. That's what he told the organization, and that's what the media knows. They don't know anymore much of that to that extent. I know that tonight, about a few hours ago, he had his first press conference since this whole kind of ordeal happened, and he was just kind of very vague and just kind of explaining that, you know, he needed to take time for himself to be with his family during, I guess, a family emergency of some kind.
Yeah.
So I guess it got you thinking a little bit too, like
just about like taking time for yourself, and if it's appropriate, like if you get to a certain level, I guess.
Like
I mean, he's
of appropriate.
That and like your professionalism, right? Because he's like a professional basketball player, and I guess a comment that really stood out to me was one of the commentators was saying, like, I got so much shit and backlash because I said, you know, take time for your mental health. I hope he figures out whatever it is going on. And it's just interesting because it sounded like a lot of the fans and people who are watching were commenting on how he shouldn't be taking time for himself.
Yeah, and, you know, I guess that's kind of like the question of the day, right? Do people of that stature, like Kyrie Irving, like LeBron James, like Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, do those kind of people deserve, I guess, those kind of time away from their time away from the game and with their family? So yeah, when you brought that up, it was a pretty interesting perspective on that, and I think a lot of things goes into that. Especially, you know, these guys are superstars. And my personal opinion on the subject is, I think that there's a very, very slim margin of acceptability with that being said.
When you get to a professional level.
Yes, of course. Because, you know, there's a lot of people who depend on you, you know, not just only the fans, but, you know, it's a huge, like, machine. Like a money-making machine, and you are a very integral piece of that machine. And if you're not there, you know, you're gonna have problems. And I wish I could have been a fly in that room, you know, with his agent and the, you know,
going
the
back
management.
And forth.
Yeah, just trying to piece together what's going on.
I guess the example you kept giving me was, you know, having that middleman, right? Like the agent going back and forth to like somebody, you know, he tells his agent, you know, look, like I'm taking personal time. This is how it's going to be. And then the agent or the middleman, whoever, goes to the coach and is like, you know, he's going to take some time. And the coach flips out and is like, what the hell are you talking about? Like he needs to come here now, or he needs to call me. And then the person goes back to him and it's like, hey, like this is what he said. And, you know, just kind of going back and forth and just that conversation and how that might have played out.
Yeah, it's interesting too because there's like a movie kind of revolving around something like that. I think it's called it's about the NFL draft, and it was really cool because it's like it was a movie based on the Cleveland Browns, and they're one of the years they were drafting really high, and it was just like the amount of things that was going on behind the scenes that no one knew about, but the movie was explaining. Like, oh, you know, we're thinking about taking XY, you know, somebody at 4, you know, and do you want that pick or not? Because if you don't want that pick, you know, I'm going to trade you three third round picks to you in return for another first round pick, but It's just weird. I'm just confusing
Just
myself.
all of these things behind closed doors.
Yeah, and conversations and kind of like, pure pressuring in terms of like just a lot. But I guess it's just interesting, going back to the root of it. I just I wonder what was going on, but at the same time, I do think that majority of the time, I'll just say this, if I was, an NFL player, I definitely would put everything above my career, above a lot of things. Like,
and I'm kind of like not on that side, kind of the opposite of you, because at what point, like, of course you'll put like a lot of things, but we have no idea what he's going through. We have no idea, like, if this is a conflict of interest because, they signed James Harden. Is he upset because he wasn't a part of that? I have no idea. This whole him getting in trouble for, COVID regulations. But I guess the interesting part about it is, like, where do you draw that line? Like, if your dog dies, obviously you'll probably play, right? But say, like, your mom or a family member dies.
I think it's just being honest. Being upfront, if I was that stature and I was a Kyrie Irving and something horrible happened in my family, I'd be like, look, like, I'm even tell the media, like, look, like, my mother's dying, or my sister is dealing with a life-threatening condition and I need to be with them. And I'm sorry for, letting my obligations down, and don't pay me, that's fine, like I have to take care of this, and I just hope you guys understand. Because I think if he would have said that, and I think that might have cleared the air, and I think that would have gotten people to understand, and I think it wouldn't have been that much of a fiasco in the news world. Because the only reason why they had signed a player called James Harden from the Houston Rockets, and he's like a superstar player. And the only reason why they signed James Harden was because they were unsure if Kyrie was even going to continue playing with the Nets. It was that bad. They didn't know. And they had another superstar named Kevin Durant, and they needed Kevin Durant to feel secure and to feel like he wanted to still play for the Nets. So the best, route the organization said was, let's bring in James Harden, because we need some glue to keep this thing together. Because we're in win now mode. We dished out a lot of assets to get Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and so that's probably, to get back to it again, I think that's probably what I would do.
Just be honest.
Yeah, just
and it's interesting because I feel like, yes, at the same time, as much as you want to be honest, I think you're gonna get scrutinized either way. I think if say your dog was your best friend and that was the only family member you had. And your dog was dying, and that's just a level of importance to you, but the media and your fans, might not think of it that way. And that's kind of where you have to, I feel like, draw the line for yourself and kind of step back and say, all right, well, I'm going through something, like, it's not anybody's business. I just, but I understand his stature though, and
that's
where he is.
That's
so
where
that's
I draw the
kind
line.
of,
it's not like you're just like at work, right? I'm just like, I have to take time off because something.
Right.
No, you're like.
But that's an interesting subject though too, is like work, and I guess kind of bringing it down to our level, because we're not like professional athletes. It was interesting because when my grandma died, I wanted to be able to take like a day or two off, but I couldn't unless she raised me, unless she's immediate family. You have to take you have to do your hours, right? It has to be the paid time off. It's not, sorry, I'm getting all confused. It's not paid time off. You have to take annual leave, which is something that you build up, right? That's something that you have a bank for. And it was a bummer. And then when my cousin died, I just took off that day. After I figured it all out, it was this back and forth mess of if he really died or not. And once, we figured out he did, I was like, I'm done. Like, taking AL for the day. And thankfully my boss is super kind about those things and wasn't like getting upset because I did it last minute. But it's just interesting kind of bringing it back down to our level and what people or what your job deems to be adequate.
Yeah.
Which is in of itself a
it's
whole nother
weird.
ball game.
It's weird, it's situation by situation, and based on who you are as a person and the things that do initiate that feeling like I can't go to work. I have to take care of this, or I have to be with the people who I need to be with. And it's scary too. It's scary at both sides of the coin because, you know, let's just, I guess, bring it back to the NBA, or let's just bring it back to your passions, right? Things that you guys are passionate about. At what point do you kind of say, I have to not continue one day with my, or a few days or a week or two from my passion of what I've working so hard to get to, and knowing that every day is that working hard, it needs to happen for the thing to move and to snowball, and to be like, I can't, I have to take care of this.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting. I guess I'd love to see, like, get a tally of like all the people who were following their dreams and at one point or another decided not to, temporarily based on taking care of family issues. Because I'd want to know, like, what's their breaking point, you know, like what's acceptable for them to kind of just be like, I can't, to maybe even to themselves. Maybe there is nobody else that is looking at them, or maybe there is, right? Like maybe you're in a group, right? You're a dancing group. I don't know, create a creative like art department, you know, that everyone's relying on each other, or a band, musical band, or even a team. You know, like you don't have to be the pros to really want to give it your all and be passionate about it, and to wake up every day in the morning at 5 o'clock and just go into the gym and just pump freaking iron like you're gonna die tomorrow, you know. Yeah, but it's crazy. I just wonder, because Kyrie, bringing it back, he didn't look well. He looked very troubled. He looked like he didn't get sleep. He looked like he was just crying. He looked like a man that was just a shell of himself, you know.
And it was interesting because I know nothing about basketball, and so kind of looking at that press conference, it was interesting because I know nothing about him either. You know, you watch your favorite like stars, superstars, and you can kind of get a sense of their personality based on maybe the press conferences or the social media that you follow. But I know nothing about him, so it was interesting because in the beginning you were like, it's so disrespectful that he has this, because he was laying down like kind of on his hands and his chin was on his hands, and you were talking about how it's kind of disrespectful, and I was on the opposite end thinking like, I don't know, like is everything okay? And the second that somebody asked him if he was okay, he just nodded his head. And it was one of those things like, you know, when you come home from a bad day at work or something and somebody's like, are you okay? And you just let it out and you just cry or you scream or whatever it is, like however you release your emotions. It's like that one person, just anybody, just, are you okay? Like you don't want to say it. And if you say it, it's just going to all come out. That's just kind of how I interpreted him.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely have my reservations about him, because I guess I followed him a little bit too, and I know that he's like a pretty like a me guy. Like if he's not happy, no one's happy. The team ain't happy. I mean, I think I followed him a little bit when he was in the Boston Celtics. Definitely when he was with the Cavaliers, he got that was when LeBron James won the NBA championship for the Cavaliers. And Cleveland, I think, never had won a title, and he promised him a title, and he brought him a title. And Kyrie was like a very pivotal point, and he was a younger guy. And after that championship, Kyrie kind of didn't want to play with LeBron anymore, because he's like, nah, like I'm not gonna have my success overshadowed by yours. I'm gonna do my own thing. And I guess he dipped.
Yeah.
And then LeBron went to the Lakers, because I think he came back to the Cavaliers after he won a championship with Miami. And Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. It's interesting because it's kind of like, when do you feel like, I mean, I don't know. This is kind of like off topic, but when you have like talented people around you, and especially like on a team, wouldn't you want to be a part of that? Or is your pride so high that you're just kind of like, you want to be the superstar completely? Because you get all of these good players, isn't that a good thing?
It is, in theory, right? Until like your ego start getting in the way.
Yeah.
Like it's so frustrating and it's so annoying, because it's funny how like these, you know, even James Harden and Kevin Durant, I didn't know, but they like played back when they were with the Thunder as kids and like, you know, rookies, and they went their separate ways because both of them felt like each was overshadowing their career, only to come back and be like, dang, like, yeah, we were just kids, you know. I think that we came back and we're more seasoned and we know how to we want to win, because that's the thing, right? When you're young, you're just chasing stats, right?
Yeah.
And stats is very one dimensional. But then as you get older, your perspective starts to change.
Yeah.
How many years will I be doing this? Like, dang, I see I see this dude. He was in the same draft class as me, and he won a championship.
Right.
Like, man, MVPs are cool. You know, top is, you know, triple doubles are cool, but I want to win a championship.
Yeah.
And then it's like, dang, I have to win a championship. I have to, you know, take away my ego, because it's a team sport. You can't just take the whole team on your shoulders.
Right.
And especially as you're getting older and more seasoned, you know, you're not as quick as you used to be.
Yeah.
And LeBron James realized it, you know, and that's why, you know, he's winning with the Lakers, because he's a team player. It's interesting too, because like Colin Cowherd, you know, brought up a fact where, you know, like LeBron James, you know, family man, you know, he has a great work ethic and he's strong mentally because of the family and because of that maturity dynamic. And with that being said, everyone who comes to play with LeBron is 100% like, let's all business, like let's go, like let's enjoy, let's win. Same with Tom Brady. He's married, he has kids, all business, all family. Like Kevin Durant, not really like he's
I think we had this conversation one time before.
Really?
Yeah, about like the family dynamic and just about how professionals play, you know, with a family dynamic, because you have more to lose, right? You have people to feed, right? You're making millions of dollars, but you have more, you know, to lose. And when
I just think it's more of a connectivity. It's not even about people to feed. When you're in a family, you're part of a unit. And when you're part of a unit, you understand what teamwork is. When you're single, when you're a bachelor, you don't care. Although, unfortunately, and maybe fortunately, all those feelings are so raw and so pure, and you could just, like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I fuck this, and just walk away.
Yeah.
And no one's there to be like, yo, like, relax. Like, you think about it? Like, can you
like see how this is affecting other people?
Yeah, like, you know, and even your kids, right? Like, and it, like, so when you have them, you know, you're just, I see this, like, you're just kind of like, dang, like, you want to so bad. Like, I don't know, maybe you want to just like start throwing punches, like, because in you know, in a game, because somebody elbowed you, and just duke it out. But you're like, dang, like that second of like, I can't. All right, no, you know, just walk it off, you know, like that's kind of like the difference. I think that's what Colin Cowherd was trying to make, in a comparison. Obviously, there's always exceptions to everything, but that overlying factor can't necessarily be ignored. Can't be proven, but can't be ignored either.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. You know, I guess how a family kind of stables you. It breeds maturity, right? Because I guess with a family, break it down, right? All of that comes with responsibilities, the day in and day outs of keeping, you know, keeping up with your job, keeping up with your responsibilities in the unit of a family. And for whatever reason, that transitions and that transcends everything in your life, in your work. Maybe you have more patience. Oh, that's what it was, right?
Yeah.
That these guys, Tom Brady and LeBron James, they have more patience. That's what he said. It was patience, because he's patient with people who, when things aren't going right, patience, keeping the ship steady, even through adversity, even through a huge, like, just storm. And when that happened with like Kyrie, no patience, got angry, got agitated. I don't want to be on this team anymore. This team ain't winning. I don't know what to do. I can't speak for the other guys, but I'm here to win. And a difference between like, you know, like, we got some things to clean up, but, you know, I still believe in this team. I believe in the ethics that we run this organization with, and to the next game, you know, brush it off and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
You know, it's that mentality.
Perfectly said.
Yeah.
But it's interesting watching press conferences and kind of seeing kind of the durability of the players and their mind, how they hold themselves, you know, if they're like slouching, if their shoulders are nice, if they're sitting up straight, if they're like, you know, how they position themselves, I guess, is just all around kind of tells a lot. And what I thought was interesting the other day is you telling me that I know at least the NFL players are under contract to have like these press conferences to come and actually talk. And
They're forced to.
yeah,
It's wild.
yeah. I was just thinking about, I know this is kind of off topic too, but thinking about AB, Antonio Brown, and how he, if you've been following Antonio Brown, he just kind of was a basket case last year and kind of just went off the deep end. And he's having like problems with his partner. He was having problems. He was just seen doing a lot of things, saying a lot of things, just really just out there. It could be attributed to like the amount of concussions he had. He could have like the early symptoms of CTE. It could be a lot of things, right? But it was interesting because he did play with Tom Brady for a little bit on the Patriots, and now he's back with him on the Buccaneers. And I've been watching his social media just to see like if there's anything there, because when he was with the Raiders and the Patriots, he was just constantly posting, constantly like always in drama. There's always police around. There's always just some kind of like family inner turmoil. And now it's just been really silent. I mean, there's posts, football posts, things like that, but it isn't like there's this video of him throwing like gummy dicks at his ex and police officers, and it was just out of control. Like his life was just this ridiculous like spiral that everybody was following on social media. But right now, I just have to think that Tom Brady, took him in and is like, yeah, just don't, just stay away from all of it. Just stay away from all of it, and kind of like took him under his wing and just helped him out in that way. And I even went so far as looking at Tom Brady's account and seeing if he had any pictures of AB, because being at that statue, like that stature, that level, you want to make sure the people you're around, the people that you're posting, they're kind of on that same level. And I was like, okay, if he has pictures of AB, maybe AB's doing a lot better. And there was one of him and AB. It wasn't like them standing next to each other, but it was like kind of like a collage, a montage of them.
But you see, Tom Brady, patience, understanding your assets, right? Understanding that you, at the end of the day, need Antonio Brown's skill set. You can't do it with your own. You need to be smart enough and patient enough to work with problemed guys. And that's what, LeBron James has, proven too. He can bring people together and things can mesh. I don't know how he's able to do it, but I think, like I said, patience is like the key, the name of the game. They're saying, they're not, Tom Brady and Antonio Brown aren't friends, really. There was a huge debate on that, right? Because it's like, I don't see, Tony Brown going golfing with Tom Brady. Tom Brady loves to golf. I don't see, Tom, he's doing it because he understands, right? That he needs him.
Yeah.
It's a mutual symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
One needs from the other, and either side wants to win, after, Tom Brady wraps it up, or, I doubt, we'll see for ourselves, but I doubt that they're going to be
hanging out
together.
Yeah. No, that's really true.
So it's just interesting, and I like that. For better or for worse, Antonio Brown's staying out of trouble, and Tom Brady's getting what he needs, which is a very skilled, dynamic wide receiver to take him to the Super Bowl, which is what they both want.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure they take, time for themselves in their own way.
Too, of like my band back in the day.
Yeah?
Yeah, because, there was, in my band, that I used to play with, there was like some guys who didn't really have it together for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe at the end of the day, some people just have it and don't. Maybe it even transcends having a family or not. And some people just understand what it takes to win and understand that it doesn't necessarily matter about what they feel, right? They could just talk. I remember having conversations, talking to me blue in the face, how it doesn't matter. And I'm just like, just hit all these words hit me. It's hit off me. And I'm just like, if I go with you, can we get this done? That's all I heard, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, I hate this. I can't do this because of that. I can't do this. Oh man, this sucks. And I'm just like, how about this? I'll come with you. I'll do this with you. Let's figure this out together.
Yeah.
In my mind, did I really want his yes, I did want his well-being. Yes, I did hope that some of me would rub off on him based on me going to doing these things with him, based on me, having the patience to sit with him and get his life in order so that everything can run more smoothly.
Which is interesting. Do you want to bring an example of that? Because I have one. It's when I remember when you were younger, I was texting you. We were like maybe 14, 15. I was like, what are you doing? And you're like, oh, I'm going store to store to help my friend get a job.
Yeah.
And that was just a really interesting example, because I was like, what do you mean? Like, he can't, in my head, I was like, he can't do it himself. Like, I don't understand. But now talking to you, now I just understand, like, you might have not wanted to do that. You didn't want to go walk store to store, down each avenue just to present somebody or kind of hold their hand.
I did that with multiple people, multiple times.
And why?
Because I wanted to win. I'm dead ass. I will look this camera dead in the face. I wanted to win. And I wanted to do whatever it took. I don't care how many L's I had to take. If I can get my team to the finish line, I'm going to do that.
And why? Why did you need to get him there?
Because I need soldiers. No, because I needed him to pull his weight. And I couldn't just double my income at the time. I needed him to pull his weight, bring his money in. And yes, I did have my fears if he did get a job, like how responsible would he be with his money? Which I'm like, F it, let's worry about that when we get there. And yeah, and what's interesting too is like, I did have one guy in particular who did gravitate towards me and who I did help him and I did set him on the right track. And then he beat himself mentally. And he started hanging around the wrong crowd. And, the rest is kind of history. And I don't, he's just not in a good place when I last left him. I don't know how he's doing now, but I hope for the best. But, it's like one of those like press conferences, right? Where it's like, like
we parted ways and I hope for the best. Just
mutual parting.
Yeah.
No, it was no mutual parting. But anyways, yeah, just bringing back to the point of just patience. Mm-hmm. It's just interesting to me, like just talking out loud, right? Like just thinking about all those sacrifices that, the patience for the greater good of what you want to accomplish.
Did you ever take time for yourself when there was, something that happened in your life at all? Or did anything big happen while you're in a band?
No, not really. I was very gung-ho. I mean, I remember my mom had she had an aneurysm and she went into surgery.
A brain aneurysm.
A brain aneurysm. And she was getting it removed. And that was the same day that I was going to Detroit to record with my band. And I had no inclination of not going. And I just hoped that she was going to be okay. Mm-hmm. And I think I saw her. I saw her right after her surgery. And I delayed it just a little bit just to see her from the surgery, and then we dipped. Mm-hmm. And so...
just to make sure she was okay.
Yeah. And so when she woke up for surgery, I saw her in the hospital, and then I left the hospital, got in the car, and literally just went on our journey to Detroit to record. So that was my minor thing that I took.
It wasn't really minor. I mean, it was pretty big. But you still kind of pushed through it, which is interesting, I guess, kind of going back and just talking about taking time. If you I don't know, I guess there's a lot of different versions of taking time, right? There's something like I never say his name right. Kyrie? Is that his?
Kyrie, yeah. Kyrie.
I mean, this was, how many games did he miss? 7 or 6?
Yeah, 7 games.
7 games.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 7 weeks? Do they play a game each week?
I think so, 7. Yeah.
I mean, that's a long time. And I don't know, what it was that he was going through. But it's just interesting taking time for yourself, I guess, even throughout the day. But then big, huge gaps like that. And I know somebody asked him if he was working out at home or if he had like a facility or something that he was working out in. Because 7 weeks is a long time to stop.
Yeah, especially for the NBA.
And I guess that kind of goes back to like you as a professional, just, trying to build up that professional like portfolio. And do you deem any kind of time to stop? Or do you just, think about like taking a break or anything?
I mean, I guess that takes it, that, thinking about it like that takes really big precedence, right? Mm-hmm. Because, all those guys are there from thousands of hours of like just nonstop work. Mm-hmm. So the fact that he literally took like multiple games off
Mm-hmm.
for family. It's like unheard of. It's like
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Like the amount of things, like, you know, some NFL players play through their children being born.
Yeah.
You know, they play through their mothers dying. You know, like they, you know, it's just crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, and I wonder if we'll ever find out about him. I mean, if you take a day off of work and like doing music, what do you feel like? Do you feel like refreshed, or do you feel like you're missing out?
I feel pretty. I guess I'm a little more refreshed, depending on how I ended the session. Did I leave the song better than how I first started it?
Yeah.
I don't. So yeah, I mean, I guess if the case is yes, then yeah, I do feel good.
Yeah.
Like I feel really good with my song right now, so I'm happy, kind of all over.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird, right? Like when I know I'm in a good place with my music, or song, like kind of like anything that I'm doing is just always elevated with a highlight of like, oh shit, you know,
like going to the gym or playing video games. It just feels better.
Yeah, like it's okay, you died.
Yeah.
Fuck it, I got a good song. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
I guess and just having, cause for me like I feel good, and it's interesting because like last week I figured out how to do something, and I was really happy, and it took me all day to figure out how to do it, like the social media stuff, and I did like one video. That was like my final thing, is just finalizing this one video, and then I stopped and I was like, all right, like you did good, like let's go have lunch, let's watch a little bit of this movie, let's chill out. And then talking about it now, like I haven't even gotten back to it because other things have come up, but you know, just kind of taking a break and like when to keep going to get that, what is that, like, not longevity, not stability, I can't think of the word right now, the momentum, to keep the momentum up, right? You don't want to stop.
Speaking of that, that's interesting too. That now you're talking about that, I remember watching an interview from an old band that I used to love called Born of Osiris, and one of their foundation guitarists, Lee McKinney, was having an interview and with somebody, and they asked a question about like how. So in his first album with his band, he was very melodic, very good, very talented. But his second album after that was like extremely good. Like he was soloing, he was sweeping, it was ridiculous. And they would ask him like, "Yo, like how? I'm curious, like how did this come about? Like you know, like this first EP was great, you know, like the album was great, but this one was just like next level, it was so good." And he was like, "Yeah, like you know, like I spent a lot of time, just practicing my guitar, just practicing." And what's funny, because back in the days, I would, you know, write a really great riff, and I'm like, all right, nice, I wrote a really great riff, and just kind of like stop. But what I did do now is like I would write a really great riff, and then I'd keep going. And it's interesting because sometimes it wouldn't stop. Like you would just get on this wicked tangent of like just greatness. But then some days you would just like get that peak, and then it would just be nothing but downhill. But some days it would be nothing but downhill, but I'd keep on going until I brought it even further up.
Yeah.
And so it just redeemed itself. And other days it would just keep going down.
But it's so unpredictable.
I know, but he was talking about like maximizing that time and just being just on average not giving up, even when he felt in a good place.
Yeah.
And that I think that he credited that to him creating such great songs for his follow-up album with his band. So it was really interesting to hear.
I feel like now that you're talking about that too, I feel like we don't give ourselves enough credit sometimes. You know, sometimes you'll be working, you know, from maybe 5 to 8, and you're kind of like, not really happy with it. But it's interesting too because you had to maybe not have a very good session, and then only to have maybe a better session when you get home from work. You know, you had to have that bad day in order to have a good day. And I think just thinking about that contrast, because not every day you're going to have that momentum, you know. And what I've been starting to do is I've been starting to write things down, like this is what I did this morning, and then I can look back at the end of the day and think like, okay, maybe I didn't get that post out, or maybe I didn't get that email written or whatever, but I can look back and I can say, oh my god, that's why you did so many things this morning, you burnt out, or you know, whatever it is, to just kind of remind yourself like you're doing a lot. And I think a lot of people are just really hard on themselves.
Yeah. I'm really hard on myself.
I know.
Shit.
There's like no talking you down once you're kind of in a funk.
Just let the process be. Just beat myself down again and again and again and again. Because I don't know, that's just my thing. I don't know.
But it works.
Yeah.
That doesn't really work for me. I get like too, like in my head, I'm like, wait, what? And I just start questioning things.
Why am I here?
What is the meaning of life? I guess it's just really good to just have like a good group of people around you too, to be able to talk these things out. Like this is really cool. And like sometimes like as I was getting ready for this today, I was thinking like, damn, I might look back on this and like want to delete absolutely every single episode because I'm embarrassed because of what I said, or I said like too much, or I said too much or something. But I guess it's just kind of cool. And it's, you know, it's like you're sharing your thoughts and yourself with the entire world. But the cool thing is, as like I'm sitting next to you and I feel safe and like able to talk to you about things, you know, whether somebody else takes it another way is, you know, how you take it. I can't control that. But an example today was, well, I was talking to a friend about this on Monday, but an example of like having a safe space. So I'm in that Peruvian book club and somebody accidentally called the entire group over Facebook. And I got scared. I looked down on my phone and it's like, you know, they're having a phone call, and I was like, oh man, like something must have really bad, like something happened. And so I answered, and everybody's on. There's maybe like 6-7 of us on, and like everybody's smiling. They're like, yeah, this was an accidental call. And then I was like, oh man, I thought it was an emergency, and that's why I picked up. And all the other girls are like, me too, I thought something was like really wrong. But we stayed on that call for like an hour and a half today.
Funny. Literally, I do not, when somebody calls me, this is literally me. I just look at it. Done. I don't know why. The thought that something's wrong just never goes through my mind. I have no idea.
Really?
Yeah. And it's just funny how like you have like 5, 6, 7 other women who think the same thing. Like, oh my God, what's wrong?
Yeah, but it turned out to be like a really good thing, and it was nice because we were all laughing about it, and we were just saying like that's super cool. Like just in case one of us are like having a bad day or whatever, we can count on each other to pick up right away. And I just thought that was cool to kind of have that space.
Call. Oh my God. The toast got stuck in the toaster. I need your help.
Not even. But don't you think, I don't know, this is just kind of like a personal thing, but don't you think that if you're in trouble and you need somebody, like, wouldn't you want them?
I don't even think about that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, those scenarios don't run through my mind. It's like when it happens, I'll take care of it. I don't know. It's so silly. It's so... when I think about it, like, oh, so...
I feel like it's just kind of how you were raised, though, because you didn't have, like, people around you necessarily. It was just kind of you and your mom. And so, by a chance, or there wasn't really any kind of scenarios where she maybe needed you more than you needed her. So she was always there no matter what.
Yeah, except the time where I got jumped and I was like bleeding like profusely all over.
But
my
I'm
face,
sure if you called her before that.
What?
I'm sure if she would have known, she would have been there.
But the interesting thing is no one knew.
That's true.
And I was just walking like with like in a daze, completely shell shocked, just like walking with like my like shirt over my like just like. I think I could make it to the subway. It's just 3 blocks. I'm just gonna start walking. So that was a scenario of like how I handled an emergency.
Yeah,
I had my phone too.
Yeah,
I didn't even think about calling anybody.
I think, like you said, you were in shock.
Yeah,
especially because you had to get stitches, right?
You know what's crazy? Just thinking about that and how many times like people say that when they get in a horrible like thing, like
they get shot or something.
Yeah, they just keep running for. I don't know why. They just are like, I just thought that I just walked to the hospital. I thought that I could just, that's what I thought. Yeah. I'm just going to take the subway to the hospital and it'll be okay.
Yeah. And only for somebody to stop you.
And be like, oh my God. Are you, sit down. Oh my God. Stay right there. And I was like completely like in shock. Like there was just, I didn't even realize what was going on.
Yeah. Then they called the ambulance.
Yeah.
And that was that.
The teacher came. I was like, oh my God, Sam, what happened? And he was like, oh, Sam? And I'm like, what? What? Oh, hi. Because like, damn, I don't want someone to see me.
Embarrassing.
What?
Blood everywhere. Embarrassing.
What happened?
How old were you?
I fell. I was 18.
Oh.
I was older.
Yeah. For some reason, I thought this was when you were younger.
No.
Huh. Talking shit at 18, get yourself jumped.
Yeah. I fell. You fell? Yeah, there's this fence over there. It's pretty rough.
Oh my god.
I fuck, man. I ain't no snitch.
I kind of love how we start on one topic and it always kind of like goes places. So if you're still listening, thanks.
Yeah, appreciate you hanging on for this long.
Yeah, and that
if you
just
like this video, just wait. There's more. Anyways,
for real.
Sorry, I just saw that on YouTube. That I don't know if you guys like the Rich Eisen show, but he's pretty cool. So that's what he says.
Yeah.
He's like, guess what? You just watched the end of this video. You know what that means? Like down below. And guess what? There's more. And he just like points up there.
Because you can move that little like next video around.
Yeah.
On YouTube. But yeah, on a serious note, I guess, kind of just wrap it all up. I just really appreciate everybody who kind of tunes in every week, and it's really nice to kind of see the numbers, like they go up and down, and to kind of see what people like, and it's really nice to kind of have this archive of what's going on in our brains. And sometimes we get on here and we're like, what should we talk about, you know? And it's like you could talk about like anything in the entire world, and so it's kind of nice to relate things to kind of what's going on in this world, how we're feeling, and it's really cool to have everybody along on this ride with us.
Yeah, and I would love if, you know, you guys comment, you know, let us know anything you want to talk about or want us to talk about. I would love to hear your guys' feedback. It would really mean the world to me. You know, we're always open. You know, you can always message us. Just chat, you know. I want to know what you guys think.
All the links will be below.
Yes. So with that being said, was that good morning, good night, and good evening?
Good morning!
Morning. Good morning.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
It was a show. If you can name that show, let me know. But that's what his tagline was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like good night, good morning, good night, and good morning.
Was
Good
this a
night.
news?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I think I've seen that.
yeah. So
Is that yours now?
no,
Scooping
I can't take
it?
credit for that. But I will figure out my own soon enough. So yeah, with that being said, have a good night or good morning or good afternoon, and we'll see you next time on Life of the Lost.